Good afternoon and good morning to everyone west of the Eastern Time Zone, and welcome to the second annual online Knowledge Translation Conference for grantees of the National Institute on Disability and Rehabilitation Research, currently known as NIDRR. The conference is sponsored by the Center on Knowledge Translation, or KT, for Disability and Rehabilitation Research, or KTDRR. I am Joann Starks, a program associate with the Center on KTDRR, which is housed at SEDL, or CEDL, in Austin, Texas. You would probably expect Dr. John Westbrook, Director and Principal Investigator of KTDRR, to be welcoming you today. However, he is traveling back home from an international steering group meeting of the Campbell Collaboration. Dr. Westbrook is a co-chair of Campbell's Knowledge Translation and Implementation Coordinating Group. At this time last year, KTDRR conducted the first online KT conference for NIDRR grantees on the topic of knowledge translation measurement. The conference examined foundations and concepts as well as strategies and tools for measuring KT outcomes and impact. We enjoyed the participation of a number of well-known scholars and practitioners, including international experts. You can find the archive of last year's conference on the KTDRR website at www.ktdrr.org. This 2014 conference, reflecting needs identified through a survey and poll of NIDRR grantees, focuses on effective media outreach strategies. Our speakers include journalists and other experts representing traditional media, social media, and special focus media. We also have NIDRR grantee representatives who will share their perspectives on how to promote the uptake of disability-oriented research findings by the media. More information about each of the presenters is on the speakers page of the conference website, www.ktdrr.org/conference. You can also find a copy of the agenda and a link to the expo room, which includes copies of the speakers' materials available for download. Before we move on, I want to be sure to thank the rest of the KTDRR staff for their hard work in developing this conference, especially John Westbrook and Ann Williams for the initial conference planning. Other staff members, some of whom will be participating this week, are Kathleen Murphy, Stephen Boydston, Tracy Bauman, and John Middleton. I also want to thank our technical partners at Indasolve and the presenters who have taken time from already very busy schedules to be with us this week. And I want to thank all of you for participating. We have about 175 people registered at this time. The conference will take place from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock Eastern Time for each of the 3 days this week, today, Wednesday, and Friday. And we invite you to participate during as much of the conference as you can. Today's focus is on traditional and mainstream media. At the end of the day, we will have an interactive discussion. We really want to encourage you to ask questions and dialogue with our presenters. We have added some additional ways to communicate this year in addition to the chat pod, including Twitter, the KTDR Facebook page, our toll-free number, and email address. You may also voice your questions by raising your hand, and we will enable your microphone. We'll give you the details on this when it's time for the discussion. Wednesday, we'll focus on electronic and social media. And to end the day, we will have 3 breakout rooms with the expanded communication options I just mentioned. And on Friday, we'll share insights from disability media representatives, as well as the resources and supports available through NIDRR's Knowledge Translation Centers. We are again using the Adobe Connect platform to bring the conference to you, and this includes a number of international participants. You will be listening over your computer speakers, and you can adjust the volume on your own computer. There's also a speaker icon in the bar at the very top of your screen with a bar to adjust the volume. Captioning is available through CART. In the center of your screen is the main area where the conference information and presentation slides will be shared. At the upper left of your screen is the chat pod where you can ask your questions. This is the best way to communicate with conference staff. You may also tweet us your questions using the hashtag KTmedia. Below that, you will see presentation materials. Not at this time, but once we get started. This box will include a link to download a PDF copy of the slides and a text description for the current presentation by highlighting the file name and then selecting the download button. At the bottom left is a box with the conference logistics readily available at all times. If you have any technical problems, you may contact technical support by email or by phone. And at the bottom right is a box with helpful links, including CART. Just highlight the name and select the Browse To button at the bottom to visit the conference website, including the expo room, agenda, and materials. Let's get started now with today's agenda. Sorry about that. We will begin with some welcoming words from NIDRR's Director, John Tschida, and Knowledge Translation Program Coordinator, Pimjai Sudsawad. Next, we'll kick things off with an interesting presentation from Tim McGuire about his perceptions on media today. After a short break, we will hear from Donna Lockett on ways to work with the media. Another short break, and Sylvia Rincon will bring us the perspective from a working broadcast journalist. We will end the day's activities with an interactive discussion with Tim McGuire and Sylvia Rincon, as well as questions and comments from the audience. We are very pleased to have with us today John Tschida, NIDRR's Director. He will share some remarks about the changes that are underway as a result of the passing of the 2014 Workforce, Innovation, and Opportunity Act. Mr. Tschida came to NIDRR in March of this year after serving as Vice President for Public Affairs and Research at the Courage Kinney Rehabilitation Institute in Minneapolis. Also representing NIDRR is Dr. Pimjai Sudsawad, Knowledge Translation Program Coordinator. The Center on KTDRR is supported by NIDRR, and Dr. Sudsawad serves as KTDR's Project Officer. We look forward to an update on the future of the KT program. Let me now hand it off to John Tschida and Pimjai Sudsawad.
Thank you, Joanne. And I, too, would like to extend my thanks to her, to Dr. Westbrook, and the rest of the staff at the Center for KT for Disability and Rehabilitation Research. They have been fantastic partners with us at NIDRR and have put together a wonderful program over the next few days here. As Joanne said, we are in the midst of interesting times at NIDRR as a result of the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. There are big changes for us as an organization. Times of change create both anxiety and opportunity. I will tell you that I personally am very excited about where we are headed to within the Department of Health and Human Services, and that is to become a part of the Administration on Community Living, and we are deep in that planning and transition process. It's only been a few short months since the act was passed, but we are making great progress, integrating the two staffs, and are really looking forward to our new home. We are adding research capacity to complement a very strong organization that currently has program and policy capacity. They have a strong evaluation component within the Administration on Community Living, but they have not had the authority or the competency or capacity to do research in the way that NIDRR has done over the last 30-odd years. In trying to create that culture of research within the Administration on Community Living, we are working with our partners there to understand that it often takes an investment over time to get good research findings, to build from exploratory projects toward evidence-based practices. It takes patience in building that evidence base versus the rapid cycle evaluation that they are currently often using to evaluate their programs. And I think you all can help with that, to educate our new partners on the need for knowledge translation and the importance that that has played historically as a part of the NIDRR agenda and as a part of the NIDRR agenda going forward. Of course, the staff at ACL is not entirely foreign to us. We have worked with a number of their different divisions over the last several years. Two obvious areas of intersection where we have collaborated very closely are in the areas of family support and in quality and measurement. As many of you may know, we just recently awarded a 5-year Research and Training Center grant to look at new opportunities to improve the lives of individuals with disabilities and their support systems through this family support opportunity that was jointly written and will be jointly managed with NIDRR and ACL staff. The area of quality and measurement, especially for long-term social support and services, is a strong personal interest of mine. It is something that ACL has spent a great deal of time on in recent years, and something that we will be working jointly with going forward. We're also looking to establish some integrated project teams across both organizations that will integrate, again, as I said, the research, the policy, and the program capacity to best influence and change policy and practice to the advantage of individuals with disabilities. I would like to say that we have a time certain when we will all no longer be employees of the Department of Education and become employees of the Department of Health and Human Services. I can't do that today, but I can tell you that we are working as hard as we can and as diligently as we can to make this transition in a meaningful way, but also in a reasonable way that doesn't compromise the integrity of our programs or have any adverse impact on our stakeholders, especially our grantees. We are working hard to maintain business as usual, and that means working very closely with ACL and education staff to begin publishing our funding priorities as quickly as we possibly can. In terms of an actual physical move, our staff will remain here within the Department of Education for probably the next year or so, but we have worked very closely with ACL staff on our spending plan for fiscal year 15. That has been approved. Again, that is the first step in the process to allow us to move forward in publishing our funding priorities. And those priorities, you will not see a dramatic departure from where NIDRR has invested historically. We are intentional across our populations in trying to achieve balance in terms of types of disability. We are also intentional in balancing across our domain areas of community living and independent living, which is newly stressed under WIOA, employment, and health and function. And of course, knowledge translation plays a key role in each of those areas. So I don't want to take much more of your time. I know you have an exciting and very full agenda, but do want to say that in closing, we appreciate the work that all of you have done and continue to do in the area of knowledge translation. We are committed at NIDRR in our research and development projects to an increased understanding of the processes and practices that will lead to successful knowledge translation. We remain interested in increasing the adoption and use of relevant research findings funded by NIDRR and other entities to improve the lives of individuals with disabilities, and increasing the capacity of NIDRR's grantees to plan and engage in knowledge translation activities. So we are living in exciting times when it comes to the media and the role of the media, a critical partner in assisting in these knowledge translation activities. We live in a rapidly evolving media environment, but one that has never seen as many outlets and opportunities for knowledge translation to assist in the good work that you all are doing. So I want to thank you for the work that you are doing and continue to do, and wish you luck with your conference over the next few days. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you are. Let me join John in welcoming everyone to this conference, whether you are NIDRR grantees or others who are interested in knowledge translation. The more people attending this conference, the better. so we can move forward together. As John mentioned, NIDRR is strongly committed to knowledge translation, and we will continue to provide opportunities for capacity building in knowledge translation for NIDRR grantees and anyone else who are interested. The KTDRR sponsored a KT conference each year, and they also host various additional KT-related training events, both online and in person at no charge. So if you are interested to learn more about these events or any other NIDRR-funded KT resources, please subscribe to their email list or also NIDRR's weekly newsletters by going to our site of the contractor who managed the newsletter, which is naric.com, and it's NARIC.com, and follow a link to subscribe on the front page. NIDRR relies on our grantees to help achieve our mission, and grantees are the most important contributors to our knowledge translation endeavor in many ways. The ultimate goal, of course, is to produce research knowledge and development products that are responsive and relevant to the disability, independent living, and rehabilitation communities' needs. And we hope to produce the knowledge and products that are usable and also will be used to improve the lives of individuals with disabilities and also to expand society's capacity to provide full opportunities and accommodations for citizens with disabilities. This conference presents an opportunity to learn new skills that will contribute to us building more capacity in moving forward with the KT endeavor. And I am, and I hope you are too, looking forward to hearing all of our expert presenters talking about the use of media outreach strategies and perhaps ways to harness their use in the most productive and effective way possible. As you know, NIDRR continues to fund many different KT centers to make sure that our grantees are well supported in their KT endeavor. We also continually integrating KT framework into all aspects of NIDRR programs, including priorities, the review criteria, and other processes. And we also making sure that we're trying to keep connections with other agencies who are also doing KT work, so then we're up to speed on what's going on in the international community on the KT. So without further ado, I just want to, again, welcome you to this conference, and I hope you enjoy the conference, and I'm looking forward to it. So I think right now we have a few minutes for questions for John and myself.
Thank you very much, John and Pimjai. I do have a question that was actually sent in earlier. And John, you had mentioned that you'll be working on getting the priorities out, and the question is, will those priorities come out as a part of the Department of Education grant forecast, or will it be a part of HHS or some of each? We realize you may not know yet, but that is a question people are wondering.
That is a great question, and I'm afraid I don't have the answer. We are proceeding with a dual track approach to that right now, where we are looking at the current our current options, publishing from the Department of Education, but also what is currently different between the approach that education is taking and the approach that ACL takes in announcing their funding opportunities. So I would say that we are looking at the most efficient way to both publish and let individuals respond to our priorities and where there may be opportunity to improve upon the current practice, especially the amount of time that it takes internally to get these through our clearance process, that it would be my intention to use the most efficient and effective that doesn't compromise from a quality perspective the integrity of the process or the integrity of the product once it's published. So I'm sorry I can't give a more definitive answer, but we should know within the next few weeks here exactly what that process will look like.
Well, that sounds great. That's definitely something to look forward to. Another question we have is the status of the Rehabilitation Research Advisory Council, and if that's affected at all by this change.
It has been affected only in that the vetting process is transitioning from the Department of Education to the Department of Health and Human Services for the members of that advisory council. As you know, there was additional representation mandated by WIOA that was not included in the previous composition of the council. The packet for that council, all of the information has been transitioned to the Department of Health and Human Services. I have said that that is a top priority of mine for implementation, which is why we have already moved forward with the transition of information from Ed to Human Services. I wish I had a timeline to give you on that. I don't, but I will say that staff at HHS are working as hard as they possibly can so that we can move forward with that. I see that council as critical to assisting in our transition, again, building that culture of research within ACL, and also a way for us to be more responsive to the field in creating a more formal infrastructure to have ongoing conversations with key colleagues in the research community. So,
great, thank you very much. Another question. Grantees often wonder about how to fit KT into the selection criteria of the priorities to which they apply. Do you anticipate any change in the selection criteria that ACL will use versus what's been used in the past at NIDRR?
I think in terms of selection criteria, we are looking at continuing what we have done historically at NIDRR, at least in the short term. Having said that, I wouldn't take anything off the table, and if there are comments or thoughts from the field that individuals might have as a way to improve our processes or to improve our criteria, I would certainly welcome that feedback directly.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Let's see if we have any more questions. Please feel free to type your question into the chat pod at the upper left side of your screen if you have any more questions for John or Pimjai. I think we have someone that's typing in their question, so we'll hold on here just a second for that to come through. It does take a couple minutes sometimes. The question is, do you have a sense of how NIDRR will fit within the ACL structure? That's a good one.
That is a good question. And in speaking with Administrator Greenlee, and she has been very public in stating this, that NIDRR would exist organizationally alongside the other centers that the Administration on Community Living currently has, with a direct reporting relationship to Kathy and our team going over as a team and not being divided among different parts of ACL necessarily. So that has not yet been approved or published as a proposed organizational structure, but I think Kathy has been very transparent and very clear that she doesn't want to do anything to disrupt the program work that we're doing at NIDRR, to disrupt in any way the grantees or the continuity of funding or relationships that we currently have with those in the field. So, and with that, although I mentioned a couple specific areas of collaboration and opportunity, I anticipate that we'll have many more opportunities for collaboration, but that NIDRR as a research entity will join ACL as a whole entity and work closely with Kathy and others in senior leadership to continue doing the good work that we do.
Okay, thank you very much. We've got about 30 seconds left, maybe time for one more question if somebody already has their question in mind. If not, we'll get ready to go on to our first presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm not seeing any more questions, so let me thank you again very much, John Tschida and Pimjai Sudsawad, for bringing the message from NIDRR. We're really looking forward to working with you as this transition takes place.
Thanks again.